The midday sun burns across the fractured crust of the East African savanna land. High summer drought transforms this vast grass plain into an uncompromising arena of survival. Every living creature here must constantly calculate the rising cost of its physical movement. Water holes dry up completely, leaving only dust and the heavy scent of desperation. In this desiccated landscape, a single missed meal can signal the beginning of starvation. Survival is an unyielding numbers game, where energy spent must equal energy reclaimed soon. Moving silently through the parched grass stands an apex predator shaped by raw necessity. Mara is an adult lioness, a seasoned hunter belonging to the African plains ecosystem. She does not hunt today for herself alone, but for a greater biological purpose. Hidden deep within a nearby thorn thicket are her 3 vulnerable young cubs. Her maternal body requires immediate sustenance to maintain the vital milk supply they need. Without this critical nourishment, the young cubs will perish within a few short days. After hours of patient stalking, the lioness has finally brought down a small wildebeest. The intense physical effort leaves her body in a deep, agonizing oxygen debt now. She lies completely motionless in the heat, waiting for her racing pulse to steady. But on these open plains, a fresh carcass acts as a powerful beacon. Airborne scents of fresh blood drift rapidly across the dry, shifting thermal currents. The quiet interlude is suddenly shattered by a chorus of loud, mocking cries nearby. A clan of 7 spotted hyenas emerges from the shimmering horizon, moving with purpose. They form a highly organized, aggressive perimeter around the exhausted, solitary apex female. The scavengers raise their neck hackles, emitting manic vocalizations to coordinate their pack tactics. They edge closer, testing her resolve with coordinated lunges and sharp, biting snaps. Outnumbered and severely depleted of energy, the lioness chooses to step back from danger. The pack immediately swarms the fallen prey, tearing into the hard-earned meat with ferocity. From her temporary retreat, the faint vocalizations of her hungry offspring reach her ears. This auditory stimulus triggers a powerful shift in her internal biological survival priority. Starvation leaves no room for hesitation when the survival of a genetic line dictates action. The solitary apex predator faces an overwhelming numerical advantage with total physiological commitment now. Every sensory nerve activates as she measures the shrinking distance between life and starvation. The intense desert heat amplifies the immense biological stakes of this impending territorial confrontation. A profound silence settles over the exposed earth, heavy with the weight of conflict. Driven by urgent maternal necessity, the exhausted mother risks everything on one final gamble. She releases a deafening roar and unleashes her remaining physical reserves against the scavengers. The rival pack fractures instantly under the sudden, explosive momentum of her desperate assault. jaws clash in a brief, chaotic collision of raw power and fierce territorial dominance. Her massive weight disrupts their organized perimeter, scattering the intruders across the dusty plain. Instinct triumphs as she wrenches a vital portion of the prize from their grip. The violent encounter leaves her physical frame taxed and marked by minor superficial injury. Lactic acid burns deeply within her overextended muscles, demanding an immediate period of rest. Yet the relentless pressure of this competitive ecosystem allows no time for physical recovery. She must instantly secure the one nourishment before rival opportunists organize another coordinated assault. Utilizing her powerful neck muscles, she retreats toward the safety of the dense brush. Only a compromised portion of the original kill remains to sustain her vulnerable family. The defeated scavengers linger at a safe distance, watching her movements with frustrated gazes. They recognize the lethal boundaries established by a parent protecting her critical reproductive investment. Deep within the tangled thorn thicket, her three dependent offspring finally receive vital nourishment. This raw exchange of energy ensures another brief window of survival for the cubs. Every single calorie won out here is purchased with immense risk and physical toll. The young consume the vital milk, while the exhausted mother maintains a defensive vigil. Mara stands firm at the nursery entrance, scanning the vast, darkening horizon for threats. Her ears twitch at every distant sound carried across the quiet, indifferent savanna landscape. On these competitive plains, no apex predator can ever truly afford to relax completely. The title of queen offers no protection against the harsh, mathematical realities of nature. Conflict in this wilderness contains no personal malice, only the unending quest for energy. The survival of the next generation is purchased entirely through relentless, daily physical struggle. High above the flooded floor of the Amazon, survival is dictated by a quiet economy. In this dense canopy, endless green leaves mask a constant struggle for vital nutrients. For creatures living in the treetops, energy is the most valuable currency of existence. Every movement requires a strict calculation of caloric cost against the threat of starvation. A silence settles so deeply here, it feels like an intrinsic part of nature. Within this suspended tropical world lives a mature male sloth, known simply as Bao. His entire life unfolds hundreds of feet above the dark and dangerous forest floor. He embodies a highly specialized evolutionary path, focused entirely on extreme energy conservation. His massive stomach relies on specialized bacteria to slowly break down tough plant matter. But his current tree no longer provides the easily digestible food his body requires. The remaining mature foliage contains high concentrations of toxic defense chemicals from the tree. Ingesting these old leaves risks shutting down his delicate and slow metabolic system entirely. An internal chemical signal warns that his current food source is completely exhausted. Across a narrow aerial gap stands a flourishing tree, rich in nutritious green shoots. The distinct scent of essential oils drifting from the branches activates an ancient instinct. To survive, he must navigate the unstable perimeter where the two canopies meet. He begins a slow reorientation toward the outermost edge of his home branch. At this height, the protective density of the inner forest canopy disappears completely. The external environment presents a complex matrix of shifting weights and fragile pathways. His physical form is optimized for suspension rather than rapid or forceful locomotion. With limited muscle mass, he cannot rely on strength to correct any mistake. The mechanical stress on his limbs increases as the supporting wood grows thinner. Every incremental advance brings him closer to the void of the open air. Suddenly, a passing air current ripples through the upper layers of the forest. The gentle breeze forces the flexible outer twigs to sway away from each other. The vital connection point between the two trees widens into an impassable gulf. Progress ceases entirely as the animal shifts into a state of absolute immobility. He anchors his weight securely using the thick timber of the stable branch. A single limb extends into the empty space, testing the air for stability. In the wild, waiting is not a delay, but a precise survival tactic. Minutes dissolve into the background hum of the vast, surrounding tropical wilderness. His patience is calibrated to the natural rhythm of the changing weather patterns. The intense equatorial sun beats directly down upon his exposed, uninsulated body. Without the canopy shield, heat regulation becomes a delicate and pressing biological issue. Every second spent in the open air drains his finite reserves of hydration. The pressure to complete the crossing intensifies with each passing thermal wave. Eventually, the local wind patterns drop, and the canopy motion slowly subsides. The target branches drift back together, momentarily closing the deep physical gap. The window of opportunity opens for a very brief period of time. He utilizes his maximum physical reach to span the dangerous aerial divide. 3 long, curved claws find a secure purchase on the new bark. The fragile branch bends significantly under the sudden application of his weight. Gravity pulls at his large frame, testing the structural limits of wood. He slowly transfers his entire center of mass across the thin boundary. For a brief moment, his body remains suspended entirely between two worlds. With a deliberate release, he detaches completely from his previous food source. The crossing is successful, achieved without any catastrophic structural failure of branches. He now safely occupies the lush perimeter of the new host tree. But this minor physical exertion has extracted a significant biological toll from him. Extended suspension in the wind has caused severe mechanical fatigue in his muscles. Lactic acid builds rapidly within tissue that contains very few muscle fibers. Exposure to the open air currents has also lowered his core body temperature. Without adequate internal heat, his stomach cannot process any newly gathered leaves. Vital feeding must be delayed until his metabolic engine is properly restored. He retreats to a sheltered fork, located deep within the new canopy. He adopts a tightly curled posture to minimize any further loss of heat. Here, he will remain entirely motionless for many hours under the sun. Direct sunlight will slowly raise his internal temperature back to functional levels. Only then can he safely harvest the highly nutritious Cecropia foliage nearby. The symbiotic ecosystem living within his dense fur will also continue thriving. In this dynamic rainforest, survival is rarely achieved through sheer physical dominance. The law of the jungle does not always favor the fast or aggressive. For the three-toed sloth, life is sustained by an entirely different strategy. Success is measured by extreme patience and the absolute minimization of energy. His slow pace is a highly sophisticated adaptation perfected over millions of years. By moving in harmony with the environment, he avoids attracting dangerous predators. He occupies an ecological niche that requires no violent conflict or competition. Bao has successfully navigated his immediate crisis through absolute adherence to instinct. The forest canopy closes around him once more, absorbing his quiet presence. In the great balance of nature, the slow walk remains a flawless design. Across the equatorial Pacific, a relentless sun bakes the jagged edges of a volcanic landscape. Here, survival is determined not by speed, but by the capacity to endure heat. The dry season transforms the lower slopes into a barren wasteland of scorched earth. Moisture vanishes from the soil, forcing every living system to adapt or perish quickly. For those bound to the ground, the rising temperature represents an immediate, existential threat. A profound silence settles over the island, broken only by the shimmering waves of heat. In this severe environment, a mature giant tortoise named Taro faces a critical choice. Weighing nearly 200 kilograms, his massive body carries the biological legacy of his species. As an ectotherm, he cannot internally regulate his temperature against the rising ambient heat. His survival depends entirely on external conditions and his deep, ancient instinctual drive. The fading vegetation around him offers no nourishment and very little critical hydration. To remain in these lowlands means facing inevitable internal overheating and biological failure. His internal clock signals the arrival of the annual migration toward the misty highlands. The distant volcanic peaks hold the promise of moisture, green vegetation, and vital shade. With deliberate orientation, the tortoise begins a journey defined by extreme physical limitation. Every forward movement requires a massive expenditure of energy against a steep inclination. Beneath his heavy feet, the black basalt rock absorbs and amplifies the intense sunlight. The ground becomes a thermal furnace, radiating heat directly into his massive body. At a steady speed of less than 1 mile per hour, progress is minimal. Time becomes the primary adversary as the morning sun climbs higher into the sky. The sharp volcanic shards test the tough, worn skin of his ancient feet. Each step must be placed with instinctive precision to avoid dangerous, unnecessary slips. A single misstep on this loose rubble could cause a fatiguing backward slide. The environment exerts a constant, crushing pressure on his respiratory and muscular systems. His heavy breathing echoes softly against the stone, marking the slow passage of distance. As midday approaches, the surface temperature of the rock reaches dangerous thresholds. The critical threat of cellular damage forces him to seek immediate, temporary shelter. He moves toward the sparse shade cast by a solitary, desiccated cactus tree. Beneath the branches, he stalls his advance to let his internal temperature stabilize. This mandatory rest is a calculated strategy designed to preserve his remaining moisture. In the wild, inactivity is often the most effective method of conserving vital energy. The shade provides only a temporary reprieve from the overarching pressure of the day. Beyond the small canopy, the exposed slope continues to shimmer under the sun glare. The urge to find water remains the dominant impulse driving his biological machinery. When the air cools slightly, the tortoise resumes his slow ascent up the mountain. The transition zone between the arid coast and the humid forest remains far away. Centuries of evolutionary adaptation have shaped his body for this exact type of endurance. His thick shell acts as a shield against the worst of the overhead radiation. Thick fat reserves stored during the wet season now sustain his laboring muscles. He is a living testament to the power of slow, uninterrupted biological momentum. The terrain grows steeper, demanding even greater exertion from his 4 massive limbs. Friction against the unyielding stone gradually wears down the edges of his claws. Yet, the internal compass of his species keeps him directed toward the moisture above. The vegetation begins to change slightly, signaling an approaching shift in the microclimate. Hardened desert scrub gives way to scattered patches of hardier, more resilient grasses. But the physical toll of the long trek is becoming increasingly apparent now. Dehydration reduces his efficiency, causing his movements to become noticeably heavier and slower. His core reserves are depleted, pushed to the absolute limit of ectothermic tolerance. The final stretch of the rocky slope presents the steepest angle of the journey. Success or failure rests on the remaining energy locked within his large frame. Up ahead, the first dense blankets of highland mist begin to roll over the ridge. The cooling moisture hangs in the air, offering a sensory target for his instinct. Driven by the sudden change in humidity, he pushes through the final barrier of rock. The harsh volcanic landscape abruptly yields to the soft, damp soil of the highlands. He has finally crossed the threshold into a completely different ecological world. Dense green vegetation spreads out before him, heavy with the weight of trapped water. Nearby, a permanent mud wallow sits beneath the shade of the forest canopy. The tortoise advances toward the pool, guided by the ancient need for equilibrium. He sinks his massive body into the thick, cool mud of the oasis. The viscous earth absorbs the excess heat accumulated over hours of continuous travel. His heart rate slows as his internal temperature drops back to safe levels. The immediate danger of lethal overheating has been successfully averted for another season. This critical victory has come at a significant biological cost to his body. His skin is abraded, and his hydration levels will require days of recovery. For several hours, he will remain motionless, allowing the environment to restore him. He will consume the moisture-rich leaves around him to replenish his empty system. Survival in this isolated world does not depend on dominance or aggressive power. It is earned through the quiet discipline of pacing and absolute energetic efficiency. Taro has completed his migration, conforming once again to the rhythm of his island. In the grand design of nature, the slow walk remains an unbreakable strategy.